didn't mention any MLB draft stuff. I should have, though. There's a guy for the Mariners that looks really good.
That's all right. We'll talk about him 4 years from now when they actually make it up.
Yeah.
Welcome to Seattle Sports Union Happy Hour. My name is Abraham Deweese. With me is Nathan Savage and Eric Martin. Thank you guys for joining us. We're pretty ecstatic. We're pretty happy. At least I am. The Mariners are off to their third best start of all time. That's in,
Really?
what, 42 years?
Something like
Something
that.
to that effect.
77, 42, 42. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Martin,
Yes.
he of the Detroit Tigers hats, Mr. Martin has been saying all year, don't bother me until June. Do not mention their record until June. It is June 8th. Third best record of all time. They have, what, 40 wins now?
Yep. They are, 39 and 23.
39.
Best record, I think, in baseball, or third most wins, or
No, they don't have the best record in baseball.
third best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
That's
think
right.
the Yankees and Red Sox are ahead of them.
Yankees
Yeah.
and Sox.
Maybe Milwaukee, but
I don't know.
Is Milwaukee sneaking up on everybody?
Yeah, Milwaukee's in first.
yeah.
They're in first in the NL Central.
All right.
Sure enough.
39-23, Eric.
Yeah. Listen, I'll give it to them. They definitely look like buyers. Their chances are really good to hang on. My preseason prediction about the bullpen is bearing out. They're hitting. Their defense is good enough. My question is, though, since I will proclaim the Mariners as buyers, who or what do they go out and buy?
Oh, that's a good question. He's coming back with questions. Doesn't just
Not just an endorsement, but now let's
Exactly.
get into it. How do they?
Oh, man.
Yeah, how do they sustain this?
If I may go first on this one, I have
You're
some
always
ideas.
asking, so.
I don't think they're buyers per se. I think they already did their buying with the addition of Alex Colomé and Denard Span, additions of Mike Leake, Marco Gonzalez. I think that their major additions, their major pieces are here. They'll listen, but I don't think, one, they have anybody that they can or will give up.
Right.
There just isn't anything in the minors.
Right.
And two, you got the third best record in the AL
You're
with what
doing
you
something.
got.
Yeah.
You get Cano back in August. That's kind of like a re-signing.
Well, you get him to get you through the
Stimulus
It's a
you get him
stimulus package.
through to
yeah.
get you
That's
through the
that's fair.
stretch, but
That's
you
fair.
can't have him in the playoffs,
No.
which is super
What do
lame.
you think, Nathan?
The one guy I'm thinking of, and who knows, but they brought Vogelbach back up today. He kills it in AAA, comes to the big leagues, looks like Zunino from 2 or 3 years ago, just can't get it going, can't play first base. They have the DH position kind of locked up already. That's someone I could see. He's a little bit of a future guy, but if he can do a little bit, like show something in the majors, I could see teams really wanting him who need a DH. So I definitely wouldn't be the most ecstatic about it, but if you're trying to win right now, which they need to, then someone like Vogelbach. I don't see Kyle Lewis going, but with the right situation for something like Quintana last year,
So-
Darvish last year, maybe we get rid of Kyle Lewis, but they have only a very slim options. They don't have like the biggest.
Let me ask you that. If I told you, if you trade Kyle Lewis, you're guaranteed a wild card spot. And if I had this power, if you don't trade Kyle Lewis, then you're definitely not going to the playoffs. Like, if that was your only choice, would you do it for a wild card spot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be one of those things in the long run where, like the Jones situation, Adam Jones, where you hate it in the long run, but if you make the playoffs,
But
I
if you-
don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They just need to go over that hump.
They'll deal with
Yeah.
how to get rid of that contract later.
Yeah.
Well, you asked the question. Did you think that there's
Well, you know,
trade opportunities here? or-
I always say that if something presents itself, and with the Mariners being in the position they're in, the sellers are definitely going to hit them up, just to see if they could swing a thing. Now, like you said, their farm system is pretty much drained.
Barren.
Yeah, that dog don't hunt. And maybe buyers is a strong term. I mean, if something comes up, you always want an arm or two, but so maybe they're not buyers at the deadline. Let's call them window shoppers.
Yeah.
let me
there's just
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis for someone like Quintana. I could see them doing it. I don't even know if someone like Quintana exists this year, but that's who you're going to have to get anything substantial. Kyle Lewis would have to go. I think.
Let me volley this one back into your guys' court. What if somebody wanted? What if you paid Felix's contract for someone to take him?
No.
I don't even know what you get at this point.
Yeah. What are you going to get for him? I mean, he's so.
Yeah.
You probably get a like player. Yeah.
Somebody who's not as good, who was as good about 5-10 years ago, and is on the downside of his career. Well, I mean, you might as well keep Felix.
Yeah, like if they were gonna get rid of Felix, they should have done it 5 years ago.
Yep.
Getting prospects and all of that out of it. At this point, you're selling him at his lowest point. You're selling very low. So.
Yep.
Mariners went down to Houston this week, 2-game series, slapped Houston around in game 1, and then almost won game 2. Do the Seattle Mariners have a chance of taking out the Astros? I'm not saying chance as in, we roll the dice. I mean, does it look probable that they can take out the Astros this year?
No.
Why?
Because the Astros still have a top-to-bottom incredible lineup, and they still have, pound for pound, the best starting rotation in baseball.
Dallas Keuchel looks awful.
But Justin Verlander looks great. And Garrett Cole looks great. So I think Houston.
So what I'm getting out of you is you always take the starting pitching over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think pitching is where it's at. That's
They're not breaking any news.
1-0. Right. 1-0 games happen.
I think they're underperforming. Like Correa, Altuve, they'll come back up.
Hang on, are they underperforming though? Because I believe their run differential is about 120, whereas the Mariners are somewhere in the low 20s.
The Tigers just took 2 out of 3 from Houston, so I ain't that impressed.
Yeah, I think they're underperforming it record-wise. Run differential is something different, but their record, they should, just by how they're playing their pitching, top to bottom lineup, their one weakness is their bullpen, and that's probably where some of the difficulty comes from in that record, but they're just so stacked.
They put Colin McHughes in the bullpen just to figure stuff out.
And during the playoffs, they can have McCullers would probably come out of the bullpen. Look what he did to the Mariners. So they're nasty. I mean, they're geared. They're looking at the playoffs. They're looking straight at the World Series. That's their goal, and it would be awesome to take them out in the AL West, but.
Yeah,
I mean, at this point, I'm happy with where we're at now.
Right. Yeah. As far as first week of June, second week of June now. I mean, this is when the season is fun. From here through the All-Star break is just like that when you're really getting into the season. So the meat of the season, I should say. And then you just want to position yourself again to have meaningful games in September and hope that you don't get a plague of injuries.
Okay, so let's say it's not realistic that they take out the Astros. Is wild card a realistic?
Yeah. I could see them easily running away with it. I could see them and the Yankees as the wild card teams. That's in fact that's my call on it right now. Mariners Yankees as wild card. If the Mariners just continue to play this level of ball, why not? I mean, they have the division right now. They're up by a game, so we'll see.
Got a question. It's not on the list. Yes, we go off a list. We're not just making all of this up. It's not completely random, but sorry, that's breaking the fourth wall. But are the playoffs fair anymore? I start to wonder if they're even fair. For example, if we just took everything as is, the AL Central is going to put kind of a mediocre candidate into the playoffs and get a free bye, while 2 wildcard teams have to battle it out in a one-game playoff for the honor of taking on the Red Sox.
Yeah,
Well,
and
the
it might
Astros-
even be the
Where's the Astros?
Yankees or whoever you're facing.
Yeah.
Odds aren't looking very
But you
good.
get what I mean, though. Astros get, let's say things end as they are. Who's got the AL Central right now?
Cleveland.
Is it Cleveland?
Yeah, because I mean the only team that's even remotely close is Detroit at 4 games back, which by the way they are tied, Cleveland and Detroit.
They
one,
are.
one up in the top of the ninth.
When we started, the Mariners were 3-0. What's it now?
4-1 when I got
4-1?
here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, 4-1 Mariners, bottom of the 8th.
So let's get back to that though. Is it fair that Houston gets to beat up on a mediocre AL Central team while the Mariners or let's say the Yankees have to face the Red Sox?
I wouldn't Houston's fault that the AL Central is garbage.
I wouldn't say it's 100% fair, but it brings parity. It's similar to that 7-9 Seahawks team that made the playoffs. If
Yeah,
we would
that-
have gotten Beastquake if we went by fair. If we went just straight off record, we wouldn't have beat New Orleans defending champions. We wouldn't have gotten Beastquake. I think
home
it's
game.
sports. I like the divisions. It brings parity. Cleveland, Detroit, that you're in your own division. You play that division a certain number of times a year. It's how, whenever I've looked, the schedule's been set up, and
No.
I like it. I don't want the top teams. I don't want Yankees, Red Sox every single year to guarantee the spot because I want there to be a fight. I want the Yankees or the Red Sox this year to have to play one game. If they lose that game, they're out of the playoffs.
Well, you obviously are not the Fox network because that's exactly what they would like.
Really?
Because Fox has the American League. You bet they want Yankees, Red Sox in the
Right.
I like it though because
They do.
yes, big markets are big markets, but
They don't want Mariners
it's set
and
up for
Tigers. That's for sure.
They
it's set up for
do not
small
want
markets.
Mariners
So
and Tigers.
I like it. As a Mariners fan, Seattle fan, you have to like it.
Mariners are undefeated in extra innings still. They also got a great record with one run games. Is this sustainable? I mean, again, their run differential is just over 20. When they're
Listen. First of all, it seems to be their MO. They're just they're this grinded out, game a day scrappy little ball club, and that's kind of what I like about them. We were talking about run differential and how Houston just has a million runs more than any of their opponents. Well,
five times as many.
yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't do you any good to go out, during the regular season and clobber people 20-0, but then get to the playoffs where the competition there's a bit more parity, and you can't win the close game. Do you have to live off the long ball to get where you're going? Do you have these 2-run triples or something like that? Can you grind it out on a bunt and a steal?
No, that's something important. You bring up something important. I wrote this in one of my articles on www.seattlesportsunion.com, and that's with the addition of D. Gordon and Gene Segura's speed on the base paths, the Mariners are already at over 40 stolen bases. They're number 3, I think.
I know Gordon's one. Gordon has the most in all of baseball.
And then
at
as
20.
a team, I think they're number 3 in the MLB in steals. This is a different kind of team. This is not your pure textbook Sabre team. They're adding something that they hadn't had since Ichiro.
Well, I'll tell you one thing else that they will add if they keep playing the way they are is you're going to start seeing them carry like the swagger of a first place team. Once they do that, right now they're just like, "Oh, we're in first place, dude, and we're game up first place, awesome." Yeah. But once they start kind of carrying that Red Sox kind of swagger, like, no, we're here because we're good enough. Watch out,
Nathan. These one-run games, does that kind of build that swagger? Because they know they're never really out.
I
of it,
think.
Right?
I would say identity is really important. I played basketball more, so I see it there, but it's really important to know your role. And I think the Mariners have found, at least for right now, what their team is going to be. I thought it was going to be way different. I think we talked about at the start of the year. We thought it would be like 8-4, 10-8 games. Like
right.
Mariners,
That's what I thought.
And it's looked a lot different. It's actually been solid starting pitching. a lineup that gets on base. They don't necessarily hit a bunch of home runs, but they get on base. They cause pitchers problems.
They don't strike out.
Yeah, they bring up pitch counts, and it reminds me so much of the Kansas City Royals when they lost the World Series and then won it.
I was going to say that because the Kansas City Royals 2-3 years ago, any pitcher that they thought could be exposed, they yanked in the 5th inning.
Yeah,
that's what we see time after time after time with that solid bullpen that you're talking about, Eric. They're just deciding we're not going to let a pitcher get through the 3rd time.
Yeah, and why would you if you have someone coming in like Colomé? Nicasio hasn't played super well, and then you just have someone in the 9th inning that you guaranteed almost are going to get 3 outs from. You don't need to go for these big blowout games because you keep it close, you have a huge shot. Segura hits over 300 with batters in scoring position, steals to second. They grind it out. They somehow win the game.
Steals are so big, and again, I think because of today's world with sabermetrics, it's disregarded. It's considered too risky. You're taking the bat out of the hands of
but someone like Trout, though, the reason he grades so highly is because he can steal. It's graded highly, but it definitely, if there's a Aaron Judge up to bat now, you won't usually steal with someone like that.
But with Segura and Gordon, you have 2 traditional number 1s basically at that top of that line. That's pretty slick. There are some players that haven't been doing well. Felix Hernandez has an ERA over 5. Nicasio is injured and on the 10-day injured list.
No, sit down and think about what you're not doing.
Exactly. I think his ego's been injured. I'm not certain there's any body part. But Haniger's also kind of struggling, although he did have 3 RBI the other day. So you got some holes. Cano's still on the steroid, not steroids, PED list.
Right.
So he's out for the requisite 80 games. So there's some holes. Are these cracks, are they starting to compound? Is this thing going to start falling apart?
I still don't think so. Because here's the thing, the Mariners are still hitting. Listen, everybody slumps, okay? And I still take 3 RBI hitting 274 from anybody in my lineup. Yeah. 274, okay.
Talking about Haniger, right?
Yeah. Now, as far as Felix, he's not having a Cy Young year, but who does in their 14th season? Unless you're Nolan Ryan. His career low ERA was 2.14 in 2014 and has been creeping up ever since season number 10, which is kind of when that breaks down. You
researched that, didn't you?
I sure did.
He did not know that off the top of his head.
No, I didn't. I didn't. But it's preparation.
The stats are always there. You have to find them and care about them.
Sometimes, guys, I just make up stats and see if anybody challenges me. He's batting .399.
The interesting thing for Felix, I think it was either on the radio broadcast or the TV broadcast, they mentioned how maybe the K card is not what is conducive to Felix pitching the best anymore. He's not.
Was it ever?
Well, just back in the day when he had the velocity and those kind of things, but I think they were just saying that.
You think he's playing up to the crowd and not pitching, rather he's trying to strike people out?
I would personally say no. I just feel like he's a professional.
Yeah.
But they brought it up, and it is a weird issue to talk about how you have a pitcher now who should not be going for the strikeout, who has this stuff and he can keep it low in the strike zone. He has a kind of pitching that he could very easily go long into games by getting people to ground out like Leak does or other pitchers. But then you have a big K sign every time he gets 2 strikes being yelled out to him. So.
Well, you're looking at a team that has, not made an error in 2 weeks?
Yeah, May 22nd, I think.
They're in the top 5 in fielding percentage. I think, what did I write yesterday? I think it was 996 or something. It doesn't matter. The point is, they're up there. They're up there with the Astros in defense.
Yep.
Yeah. Put that ball in play. Let your defense do something with it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Even you watch Paxton, he had 3 innings in a row and in double plays the last time he was out. Mm-hmm. And it's just that nasty. That Segura, that young Segura-Gordon combo is just awesome.
Okay, but Nathan, the question, let's get back to the question. Are the cracks showing?
I think this month they'll come back down to earth a little bit. It looks like they'll be 17 games over 500 after today. They're about to play some real competition. Their bullpen is about to face real, like maybe top two lineups in baseball. Starting pitching, same thing. Hitters are about to face the Tanakas and Sales of the world. We'll see after this. This is a huge month. This is the month of who they're playing. I think in these next 2.5 weeks, are you talking about doing something in the playoffs? Or are you talking about
just
dinking around the
there.
wild card?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, but
Yeah.
But
I've never liked that argument. I've never liked that argument because
Okay.
when you go after the Yankees and the Red Sox, those are the teams you're talking about.
Yeah.
When you go after the Yankees and Red Sox, you're now in the mode of winning. You're in the habit of winning. If you want that spot in the playoffs, you gotta take it from the top teams.
Yeah.
What does Ric Flair say? To be the man, you got to beat the man. They're the men right now, so go beat them.
I think so too. Those are the cracks that would keep you from being in that upper echelon. Things like Segura, like Cruz, Seager, they're still struggling. Haniger, who carried the team's offense to start the year, he started to struggle. You have D and you have Segura. I think they're very solid, but there's cracks. Felix isn't 100%. Colomé gave up 2 runs. Nicasio's on the DL. There's cracks. I hope that it goes the other way and they perform, but it's not like you're sitting there with Verlander and Cole and you're saying, oh my gosh, like, we look so stacked. There are a couple things that might make it so the Red Sox and the Yankees will beat the Mariners and, take 2/3 of the games in their series. But
Yeah, but okay, so
go ahead. So I was just going to say, I think of that stretch that they've got coming up. That's the rest of Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay, and then they come home for a homestand, and that's where they get the Sox and the Angels, right? Angels and Sox. I think they can take care of the Angels. I'm not really worried about that. The Mariners have been showing up for division games, so I'm not really worried about that. But it is the Red Sox when they come in, because again I did my research. Who's pitching those games? You got David Price, Rick Porcello, and Rodriguez as starting the first 3.
Who are the Mariners throwing out there? Do you know?
I know Felix is playing is starting against David Price.
Ooh, is that the Friday game?
That is
So then it
the
would
I'm
be
going-
Paxton. It'd be Paxton then after that on Saturday.
Okay, I'm going to that Friday game.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that
Which-
should be a good game.
hold on. What's the date on that?
15?
15th.
Don't worry about it. It's Felix and then Paxton and then Leak is
Normally,
is
yeah.
what
Yeah.
that would be without any kind of interruption.
Yeah.
So let's
But,
do it. Let's take our best 3 and put it against their best 3.
Yeah,
See how it works
it might
out.
be LeBlanc actually too, maybe. Because I think
yeah.
Lee pitched yesterday. So.
Let's see.
Or
So
maybe-
versus
yeah.
the Angels, we've got LeBlanc, Leak, Gonzalez, and then
Okay, so the
So what's
Felix.
against-
against Boston. No, so that's a Thursday game when it's Felix against David Price. That's
Okay, so
Thursday
You'll
game.
have Paxton
I got Paxton.
Porcello.
Paxton,
Alright.
Porcello.
Yeah.
I mean, then LeBlanc and then Leak.
Yeah.
And
they-
then they go to the Yankees. Well, then they go to the Yankees and Fenway, which are 2 of the toughest venues to play in any sport, let
this time
alone
of year they're
baseball.
on fire too.
I
They're
mean,
just
you
on-
know, you go out there and you do what you've been doing to get you in the position you're in, and you try to take 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's just you're going through the gauntlet. Now, what softens the blow is after that they go to Baltimore and Kansas City. No, they go to Baltimore and then they come back home for Kansas City, LA, and Colorado. So,
Baltimore will be hopefully nice. You never know.
well, you got
but-
4 games to beat up on them. So,
Yeah.
So, you guys get worried about these kind of things, and it's a 162 game season. You're supposed to take everything for the bulk of what it is. It always seems to me that every year, sometimes lose to teams you have no business losing to, and you beat teams that have a bad day. I'm not as trepidatious as you guys are about this.
I'm not. I just there.
You are. You're scared.
No,
You were scared
my big thing is
the Red Sox and
this,
Yankees.
It's just this is the real teams that will be the test. Right now, the Rays, they are not the test. The real test is, are you going to make a difference in the playoffs? Right now, they're in full position to be in the playoffs. When you play the Yankees and the Red Sox, and I would say teams like the Astros and Angels actually didn't succeed very well at this time of year of doing that. They actually got outplayed by both of those teams. Right now, in June, it's still early. Anything can change. Last year, the Indians won 20 straight and completely changed up like the dynamic of the AL. But for right now, do you have a team that can challenge? And there is, with the way they've played and their record, there is a chance that they have the team. I'm just saying there's a couple cracks there that might not have your team be able to compete, but they are 100% able. If to start the year, if we even had this conversation, we'd almost have been laughing.
Yeah.
But we are like we're in the role right now of where I don't know if they can do it, but it's nice to even have the conversation. And I think that's what we'll see coming up. Is it would I could see them doing well, but at the same time, I think there's some things about the Mariners that aren't making them in the contention.
Here's why I'm not worried, and I don't know if you guys will ever quite get this. Like, it's June, and what a time going right in the summer to get some buzz about this team. Even if we don't do it, even if we don't clean the clocks, let's say in the 3 series twice against the Red Sox and once against the Yankees, a split. Like if we, if we can take like,
I would be
if the Mariners and Red Sox just kind of split the home and home. Okay, that's all you really need.
Yeah,
that's all you really need.
That's I think,
and Yankee Stadium's always a toss up. So.
All right, guys, we're going to talk about. We got the rest of the summer to talk about baseball. By the way, Everett Aqua Sox start on Wednesday. It's the Everett Cup. Check out the game programs at Memorial Stadium. The single A short season team for the Mariners, the Aqua Sox, publish a lot of our articles in their print paper. So check that out. Look for Seattle Sports Union in the byline. But we're going to move on to hockey right now because last night. All you hockey fans out there and you future hockey fans or whatever the Seattle team is going to be named.
The Ferns.
The what? The Ferns? The Ferns.
Silly nannies.
We got a preview into what an expansion team can do in the Vegas Golden Knights. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm sorry, it's not called the Finals, is it? It's the...
Isn't it?
I believe it's called the Final. Like when you're a hockey fan.
Oh,
really?
It's called the Final.
The Final.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
The whole thing's the Stanley Cup playoffs. So
that's a good point. But I was at the Angry Beaver with Angry Beavers here on Greenwood in Seattle, and it's a hockey bar.
Oh,
and somebody said that, and I don't know if I was just being I didn't know if they just looked at the rube and tried to get me to buy anything they said. But the Vegas Golden Knights, they got to the final and did admirably. They didn't win. The Washington Capitals won for the very first time, but it was exciting. It was fun. I haven't really.
Good for Ovechkin. Go
my
Wings.
God, the Red Wings fan is like.
Good for Ovechkin.
It's not the Red Wings.
Is Brodeur still?
Well, why do you not like
Brodeur?
Yeah.
Why do you not like Ovechkin? What's the problem there?
No. I said it's good for him. Good. Because it's taken him like 14 years to try and get a cup, and he's finally got one.
He looked like a grizzled. He looked like Logan from the Logan movie.
No, I'm glad that Ovechkin finally got his cup.
Yeah.
Vegas Knights. Well, they almost upset the entire hockey world by coming in as this expansion team and pretty much killing it all season.
I'm under the opinion that they changed the rules to expansion draft to prevent the Seattle team from doing that.
Do you think so?
I think so. If I were the NHL, if I were the NHL owners, I'd be really, really ticked off.
I think they did some. I'm not a big hockey person, but it sounded like in the commentary, one of their players, Tatar, they traded their first, second, and third round pick in next year for him so they could have him this year. So it seemed like they even almost went all in this year. And
it's smart though. Instant success means you build an immediate fan base.
Exactly.
And if you do that, like the Sounders, they didn't go to the playoffs. I'm sorry, they did go to the playoffs, but they didn't go to the finals in the MLS. But they're 9 straight seasons with playoff appearances.
Oh, this year, knock on wood.
Not going to happen this year, but but I mean, 9 straight years. I mean, that's unprecedented in pretty much any sport.
Yeah.
25. Excuse me.
What's that?
25.
In your first 25 years?
No, not the first
Yeah.
25.
I'm talking about the first set of years. It's important to build a fan base.
Yeah.
And in a, I'm going to use the word fringe, and some people are probably going to leave some mean comments down there, but in a, maybe not fringe. How about a cult-like, passionate fan base sport?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's football, baseball, and basketball.
Hockey's increasing.
We have to.
Though.
It's increasing.
starting.
Yeah, it's one
the
level
thing
down.
that knocked hockey down was the lockout for, what was it, like a 2-year lockout, and then
And it's so hard to watch on TV. Like,
Well,
there's
see,
the
I-
puck. Like, you're watching it.
Well,
and
I like the thing that Fox used to do when they had when they were airing hockey, is
The
they
blue
would have
streak?
the chip in the puck. So
Oh,
you could
really?
See, yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
just
that
know,
blue streak was
like,
pretty
it
cool.
was fun. I liked watching it, but for a casual fan to try to come in, you can't even tell what they're fighting over. Like, yeah. I think it'll help in Seattle for Seattle sports fans once the team is here, because live, I mean, it just looks so much fun.
You bet. And we cover the Everett Silvertips, so there is a passionate fan base. But I've always kind of considered, basketball, football, baseball, and American sports up here. Hockey's right there with NASCAR.
Yeah. I'd say it's still at least a little above, like the MLS, right? It's
I'd put MLS at the third level.
yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it just, the sidebar to this is a sidebar. The people that go to MLS games, MLS fans, go to the games.
Mm-hmm.
They're buying all the T-shirts. They're buying all the swag. It's not really necessarily casual people that are doing that.
yeah, okay.
Well, I mean,
Right.
these are soccer fans. Like, they've recently won the MLS Cup, and so people kind of like to jump on that bandwagon.
They do, but
I mean, more so for like when the Hawks won. Then I'll never forget it. I saw these two ladies in the Seahawks Mariners sports gear store, the one down on Olive, Virginia or somewhere. And one lady was looking at the other one, and she was like, they spelled Russell Wilson's name wrong on the back of the jersey. And her friend's like, oh my gosh. It
Luke
was
Wilson.
Luke
Wilson,
Wilson
yeah.
with 2 L's, right?
Yeah.
but
I know my sister, I tried all the time that I grew up to watch football, and she never once was ever in the room, and now at Seahawks, she is a diehard fan. She has to watch every Sunday. Like,
But, we grew up, Nathan and I grew up, where, on Sundays you watched the Seahawks. On Sundays, Nathan and I weren't watching, what was it called? A-League soccer? The Sounders The Sounders existed before MLS, but it was a minor league. It was a minor league team, and they existed in the '70s. I was too young to remember any of that. But we grew up with Seahawks. You were in Detroit. You grew up with your teams. There are some people in Seattle that grew up with the Sounders, but not everybody did.
So it's like
That's why-
a different thing.
Yeah. So
there's
now,
a demand though in Seattle. I would say it's probably
No,
will
no,
go
listen,
down because there's
listen.
no basketball, but there needs to be a third team.
oh,
for
sorry,
sure in
guys. This
Seattle.
was a very long prologue.
Oh, yeah.
This was a very long prologue to my actual question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think the NHL, the Seattle NHL team, will have an easier time with the bandwagon because the Vegas Knights were able to pull off such a run? Now that it's encoded in my head, this team could actually, it's not impossible for them to do well in the first year. I should pay attention?
To be honest with you, I don't think they're going to have a problem with fan base at all anyways.
Okay.
Seattle is kind of clamoring for it. Maybe
Even
not so much.
indoor
sport.
teams,
Not
so
so much,
bad
yeah,
too. Like, you can get out of the rain, go inside, watch a game. That doesn't exist here really.
Yep.
Like there is the roof, but you're still on the way over and everything. Like they don't have an NBA team, so they're solid on the NHL.
It's kind of tough because
I think NHL will do very well here, and I think NBA is still probably another 5 years out.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because the University of Washington has never drawn for basketball. It's just
surprising because like
it is.
I don't know how they have it.
Solid squad.
The like Rainier Garfield game this year, you had to wait 5 hours in line or 4 hours in line to even get in
For a high school game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the way that Seattle is, this area, if you went to a different college, and there's a lot of people that went to college in this state, in this city, that's not their team.
Yeah.
A Cougar fan's not just going to Washington basketball just because. If I went,
Unless they're playing the Cougs.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas maybe if you lived in upstate New York, everybody's a Syracuse fan. There isn't anybody that's not a Syracuse fan. If you lived in Kentucky, well, I guess you have to choose whether you're Louisville or
but
Kentucky.
it's so polarizing.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
you're
one of the top rivalries. Like,
you're one or the other.
Yeah, Pasadena with like UCLA versus USC in LA. That's a big one too. Like,
Yeah.
there's fans for sure.
But you guys think that the NHL won't have any problems selling out?
I think Seattle and its franchise will do very well.
There's many
from a revenue standpoint. You got to see who they pick up in the expansion draft, but
there's it just fits in so with like the hipster thing in Seattle.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
See,
I can't tell you how many.
let's drink some
hockey jerseys-
Olies and go watch the hockey
There's
game.
so many hockey jerseys. You go out, you
am-
just see people in like random like Canucks jerseys or
Right.
Edmonton
I
Oilers. Like
am-
it will fit in perfectly.
I am part of the pro-
beards, everything.
Yeah.
I am part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that within the first hour got my ticket for the new Seattle team. And they have a waiting list that goes on for a very long time. But I kind of wonder what happens if once the chrome starts peeling, once the freshness of it ends. Because I'm telling you right now, the Sounders, this terrible season they're having, that's going to drop off. Those fans are going to start dropping off.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big fan of theirs, but I mean, like it. I have a lot of friends who don't even know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
They just stop paying attention.
I think one thing that hockey has going for it is it's not a giant stadium. It's not like you're in CenturyLink.
Sure.
It's smaller.
Are they're playing in Key?
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be 17,500 something.
Yeah. It's not.
Which is actually one of the smaller NHL rinks as well.
Oh really? I didn't realize, but I just know that it's not at the point where 17,000 is like half of the stadium. That's a sellout.
So now, whatever happened? Because they were talking for a while about building this mixed-use venue down in Soto.
Politics, I've heard.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I don't know if I want that.
That's what got the sound or the Sonics. That's what happened to them.
Yeah.
And they ended up in OKC.
Yeah.
I have my own opinions about being in the Key Arena and like that area and trying to figure out how to get into the stadium.
I
and,
don't.
like, park
I don't know
and
anybody
everything,
that thinks Key Arena was a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Except for people.
I don't think Key Arena was ever meant to be like as long-standing as it is. It was, the Coliseum for the World's Fair in 1960 something.
It's just like they
you're
have the
100%
size
correct
of
about
this
that.
room
Yeah.
like place to pull up your Uber even or Lyft. Like there's just I'm sure it'll be very successful.
A lot of things in the
Space Needle's
Seattle,
right there.
a lot of things in the Seattle Center were set up with no interest in permanence. The Space Needle obviously permanent, but I mean, like all that other stuff was set up for that fair, and became repurposed, and used for other things. The arena's there because they did want that to be the literal center of Seattle. Before that World's Fair, the center.
Wasn't it just houses there?
Yeah, that was just people just lived there, and but now, now it's just a mess. We all know it's just a mess because because of various different reasons, politics.
Well, and then the
construction.
monorail was supposed to be the thing that got everybody in and out of there. Nobody was actually supposed to drive there.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, it's almost like it's perfect in my opinion, almost for hockey. But when we continue on to like a Supersonics team, where that kind of level,
Well, at that point, they're going
seems
to. I mean,
very
what,
tough.
the whole problem. Well, not the whole problem, but one of the biggest issues was that Key Arena was too small.
Yeah.
So the NBA ain't coming back unless they can get some luxury boxes and
Did you
They're
guys
gonna remodel,
40,000.
so.
Yeah, did you guys know this? Did you guys know that when Barry Ackley owned the Sonics, he intentionally refurbished Key Arena too small in dimension to house a hockey team?
Really?
He did that on purpose, and that was 96? No, 94? Something to that effect. So mid-90s. And a lot of the problems, and one of the reasons why I think, hockey hadn't been here already was because of that. And that's just messed up. Guys, let's move on from our own desires to get. We're heading down a political path that I don't want to go down. And let's talk about the Capitals. That's what we started off talking about.
Right.
We ended up talking about our town instead. Because
Seattle
we're the real
Sports Union.
Because we're the real Washington. Yeah. Washington D.C. hasn't won a major championship since 1992, and that was the Washington Racists.
That was the year I was born, actually. So
Oh God!
There it is.
Every
There it
show,
is.
he's got to
There
bring
it
this
is.
up.
I'm just saying, I didn't know the Redskins had won a championship. So that was like,
3. They have 3.
yeah, I did not know.
They won one with Doug Williams at quarterback. They won one with Joe Theismann and one with the Wazoo quarterback,
Cunningham.
Ripien.
Oh, Ripien.
Mark
okay.
Ripien.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good run. And then what?
Well, Jim Kelly had a pretty good run too. But
I think that's who they beat in that Super Bowl.
That
I
is
think
who
they beat the
That is
Bills.
who
Yeah.
They did beat the Bills. So that's quite the drought. I mean, is Seattle in a similar kind of drought? I mean, we did have the Seahawks win the Super Bowl.
right, you got the Super Bowl. You got the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. You got the Sounders winning the MLS Cup. Hell, didn't even the
Storms.
Storm win.
They won 2 championships.
yeah.
I'm just saying it
So
feels like
that's not a drought.
I guess maybe let's see. I'm thinking Mariners.
Well, that's a
That's a-
40-some year drought. That
I'm just
And then I'm also
wondering,
thinking- I'm also
would we be able to handle that? Because that seems pretty
Well,
common in sports. Like, it
what,
just
that-
seems
that
right now that so
internal
much
drought?
fans are like turning off already in Seattle.
Well, so before
Would we be able to handle
bef-
that kind of drought?
before 2013
yeah.
when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
didn't we go from 1979 until
Yeah.
So
And
we
it just
have-
seemed to me at that time.
But that's without having
people were not
a
fans
win
or
it
anything like
all
that.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. The Seahawks had been to the Super Bowl in 06. 06,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they had really good seasons, even when they were an AFC team. So it's not like it's just been every year for 40 years. Every Seattle team's been getting clobbered. I mean, yeah, the ultimate goal, the ultimate prize of a season is to win it. But if you have, as a fan, I think if I go out to a ballpark or go out to the stadium on any given night and know that my team has a chance to pull it out,
Yeah, I just remember before they won the Super Bowl, the Seahawks, and they still had Tavares Jackson at quarterback. Seattle was rated number 1 or number 2 with Cleveland of like worst sports town or toughest sports town. Or
was that
something like
20? That was 09?
that. Maybe, yeah.
No, 08.
Wait, are we talking about
yeah.
9 and 7, or 7 and 9? Excuse me.
I think
was the year- it was the year before
It was the
that.
year before.
Year
okay.
before, so because 7 and 9
It was
was I
7
want to
and-
say like 2010, 2011.
No,
That was
it was probably 20. I think it was 2000. No, you're right. It's
think-
probably 10 or something like that. But think about that. Think about that 09 year though. That 09 year was Hasselbeck's last year, and
Matt
that
Hasselbeck.
was, and that was
we want the ball and we're going to score.
Oh my god. Anyway,
Every time you bring up that name, I will throw that at you.
I
Well,
don't
the Detroit Lions,
understand.
the Detroit Lions fan doesn't need to bring up
Nothing.
playoff
Because I mean,
losses.
you can
You tell us
playoff
about-
losses.
you tell us about the
that
one
was
playoff
Green
loss
Bay
we
you
had.
played.
No, we had
Beat
one
Green Bay.
playoff win. One playoff win.
Anyway, the point is that year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Huskies go 0-12?
I just know there was a period where they
And
said
the
we
Mar-
were the most miserable
and the
sports
Mariners
fans, and
were-
Seattle was right there.
The Mariners were right in the middle of their 17 years of nothing.
Probably right in the middle of that year that they took Ackley in the draft. They had like 100 losses. They're the worst or second worst record. I think.
Is that the year that they had the 17-game losing streak?
Probably, yeah.
It
It
could've
wouldn't
been.
surprise me.
No, Seattle. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a certain level of misery. I read that article too, but I don't think they included the WNBA championships,
They
and that's
definitely
fine.
didn't,
That's
yeah.
fine. I understand. But they, one thing they didn't take into account in that article, which would have rated us below Cleveland, is the 100 years since we won the Stanley Cup. So we have the
That's
longest
true, yeah.
Stanley Cup drought in all.
Yeah, but there's
all
a
of-
lot of missing years in between Seattle NHL 1 and Seattle NHL 2.
Well, my
Okay, that's
facts are not
quite
wrong.
right. Let's start
My
with
facts
that.
are not
You are
wrong.
absolutely not wrong, but there's a big neon asterisk flashing there.
That'll be St. Louis in about 80 years, maybe.
Yeah, okay. The Blues.
No, the Rams being in LA now.
Oh yeah. So did you guys see where that Stanley Cup that we won? Actually, technically, the Seattle Metropolitans, were not actually in the NHL. They were in a league called the Pacific League or something to that effect.
Right.
And the Stanley Cup was played between a couple different federations, right? And so,
Like the Rose Bowl used to be.
Yep.
yeah. And so it was interesting because one of the reasons why the Metropolitans won is the other team all got the flu at the same time.
Oh,
Hey, whatever gets you over the hump.
We're not.
I say
we're not giving back that Stanley Cup. I
do
don't-
you already had to give away your what is the damn basketball trophy? Is that
NBA championship.
yeah?
Oh,
But no,
no.
but there's a name for the trophy.
Yeah, I think that trophy though is actually sitting at Mohai, the Museum
Really?
of History and Industry. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they took it with them.
No, I believe that was one of the conditions was. But I mean, like if you're
I know
Oklahoma
they took
City-
the legacy, like they have the banners. and
Like
the
they
rafters.
own the championship.
Why would
Yeah.
you want that? If you're
It's
Oklahoma
Tom
City,
Bennett. He's
He just he's
He wants
he's a
everything,
carpetbagger.
yeah.
He just wants everything. He can just come in and just
no,
snag.
He's not
yeah.
the type of guy that you could use logical reasoning for like what he's doing. I think he has a very big agenda.
Well-
like he wanted that from day one. He wanted to take that franchise to Oklahoma City, and he wasn't
No,
going to let
I-
anyone tell him no.
I understand
He
that.
wanted the whole franchise too. He wanted.
I understand that, but I mean, like
Plays
if
the four-letter words.
hey, if I were in that situation, I don't know. I just don't want. I don't want a Seattle record or a Seattle trophy. I don't
Why
want.
not? You wanted Seattle's team.
I think he was a little bit.
They were gonna.
He was a little bit upset at the Seattle kind of situation.
The Seattle government, yeah, weren't we all?
Well,
That's-
but it
And
was-
I think he took it personally, and
but
he
I
decided
get
to
it,
just
though.
rub it in.
I get it though. It was the recession, and he's coming in like either you build us a stadium or we're out. Nobody was feeling another stadium. Just nobody was feeling any extra
And
expenses.
he told everyone too, like that he was 100% going to stay.
That's what
a
he
big, tough
told.
one,
That's
too.
what he told the public
Yeah.
in Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen Sonic Skate.
yes.
Might
I have,
be before your
Yeah,
time.
no, I watched it.
But yeah, he's a POS, and I don't mean
Yeah.
point of sale.
Well, so we're already talking about basketball. Let's talk about the NBA a little bit. I noticed you're wearing a Cavs jersey
Yeah.
there. So the Cavs play the Warriors, which is weird because I've seen you wear a Warriors jersey too.
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay. When did you wear? You wore a different basketball jersey.
Oh, Sonics. I wore like a kid.
Oh, was it Sonics one? Okay.
Oh, well, that's probably why, because it was Kevin Durant.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so Warriors are up 3-0.
I'm checking the score. They're up 9 at halftime.
Okay, so they're up 9 at halftime. Sweep. No, who's up by 9? Warriors?
No, the Warriors. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's not a sweep, it's probably 3-1.
Yeah,
series.
I mean, before the game, I called no sweep, but now if they're up by 9 at the half,
It's not looking good.
it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
So
If anybody can come back, LeBron can just kind of throw them all on, like a mother puppy and her puppy, or a mother dog and her puppy suckling at her teeth. LeBron is just feeding them all.
Nathan, you're LeBron James. Is there any reason to stay? You can just as easily take another team to the championship.
There's a lot of reasons as a non-basketball player to stay. I'd say more
Loyalty.
of the reasons are you're from Cleveland,
Yeah.
you left,
Yeah,
came back.
if he leaves again, I mean, there's no welcoming him back with open arms, even if he
Yeah.
just moves back to Akron to retire.
I would say all the narrative is pointing to him having, that's the biggest difficulty. It's not in the team, it's in the saying goodbye to your city. But it seems to me like he won them the championship already. This team is definitely not up to par at all with the caliber that LeBron James should have on his team.
Yeah.
I could
saw
see
ways.
him. That's the toughest area, and I could see a little bit of them saying almost okay. They're still probably going to burn his jersey. I don't know, but they'd say, "Look, you won us a title. You gave it your all. It's obvious in these playoffs. I think around 40 points if he scores today. He sets the record for most points in the playoffs in NBA history.
And the thing that he's still doing this after all this time in the NBA, he's still showing up.
I think for him and his health and those kind of things, he should go.
Okay, where does he go? Where does he go?
I think Sixers is what everyone's been talking about. LA, everyone's been talking about.
Hell, if he's going to LA, might as well stay in Cleveland.
Yeah, he needs a max contract, so there's not very many teams that he could do that. And one, weirdly enough, is actually Portland. That he could very easily go to. I don't see him going.
What if he were to take the Kevin Durant tact and say, "I don't care about max contract"?
Can't beat him.
He's already said he's for the rest of his career. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago that he said, "Look, I've taken the deal too many times. I'm the number one player in the NBA. I'd get the number one."
But I mean, what if you follow Kyrie to Boston?
That's almost impossible to me. They would have to get rid of Hayward. It's the only way they could even do it. They'd have to almost
but
trade
if you
Hayward.
take a cut rate, why couldn't
He would have to take the rate of Gerald Green.
But here's my question: what does he have to prove at this point?
It's all for himself. You could say what did Michael have to prove? I think he's an
when he
NBA,
went to Washington.
Yeah, I think he's just a very competitive player, and he just wants to. He will try to still prove things. You can tell he still wants to be number one. That's why he's gone on.
He is number one, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the memes all the time comparing LeBron and Kobe, comparing LeBron and Jordan, comparing LeBron and whoever you want to compare him to, and it's.
I just think that
and he's not
reason
done
that he's
yet, but
one of the best all time is the same reason that would be hard for him to let go of that kind of aggressiveness and competitiveness.
I hope he stays in Cleveland. I feel like he kind of has to at this point. We've already seen the episode where he takes his talents to South Beach, and he did well in South Beach.
Okay, so what?
But then he left South Beach to go back to Cleveland, and he won in Cleveland.
So what happened with Kyrie? Why couldn't they have kept him?
I think Kyrie is very similar. I don't want to switch transitions, but similar to what happened with soccer with Neymar going to PSG from Barcelona and Messi. When you grow up and you go play at Duke and you get the number one draft pick and you have your team, you think, I'm going to be the next LeBron, I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan. And then when LeBron comes back, completely changes everything, and you win a title, Kyrie still thinks he's going to be the number one player in the NBA. And he knew that on a team like LeBron, that was never possible. So that's why he left, in my opinion. Okay. LeBron was thinking, look, here's this understudy. I'm going to teach him how to play and all that. Kyrie wanted to say, no, I'm the guy already. I want to win a championship on my own. So,
all right. Well, let's go to the Golden State. 3 championships in 4 years.
Lost if they win this year.
If they win this year, lost that one to lost that one to Cleveland with a much better team than they have this year. Does that start elevating them into? I think they're already a dynasty, but does that start elevating them into one of the great teams of all time?
Well, now, so almost one of the great teams all time in the NBA. But you got to remember, we're still dealing with a decade dynasty of the Celtics. We're still talking about the Showtime Lakers, the Jordan Bulls.
How does this not fall into that category, though? And by the way, why does nobody say the 2000 Spurs either? Like that.
Right. The 2000 Spurs won 5 championships. So, I mean, I think they're
so you need
in
5,
the handful.
You need 5 championships.
Yes, 5
I know
championships.
one thing for sure with the Celtics is there's a much different. I think.
Well, I mean, it's a much different league than the Showtime
I think there's
Lakers.
only like 12 teams.
Or even the Kobe Lakers.
I think you only need to win 2 series to win the title.
Yeah, but the discussion is still.
So I think this team.
It's still the best of your time. Is
this is the team of this time?
Okay.
And maybe they need one more to get that.
Undoubtedly.
But maybe they need one more. I don't know.
I almost feel bad for Cleveland because, kind of like a lot of teams just ran into the buzzsaw of the Jordan Bulls.
Yeah.
A lot of teams are just running into the buzzsaw of this Golden State team. Now, I just don't think Cleveland is as evenly matched.
Yeah.
It's not
even close.
It's not even
Livingston
close.
would be the best point guard on the Cavs, and he's the backup.
But what does this say about the East versus the West? This has been a conversation that's gone on for at least the past 20 years, where the West has just been destroying the Eastern Conference unless the Pistons are in it.
Yeah, but in the 1980s, the East was better than the West, or 90s, I mean.
Yeah, with Jordan. And
80s, 90s,
with the Pistons and Pacers and Knicks,
The big one for me is I think it's LeBron. That's my honest opinion about it, is people don't want to go East because you have Mr. 8 championships in a row sitting there. And I really think that's such a big part of it, is there's teams in the East that have everything except for one superstar, like the Raptors, the Pacers, even with Paul George, just need to continue that. But those teams, they run into the East enough with LeBron, they head west. And I think this year was the year it was going to change, but then you had Irving and Hayward getting injured.
Well, I think it did change. I mean, haven't the Sixers and the Celtics, I'm sorry, not the Celtics, but the Raptors.
Well, and Celtics too. Yeah.
Well, I guess and the Celtics. Haven't they kind of proved you don't necessarily need?
No, it's a changing of the guard, but at the same time, even through all of that, even through Hayward heading east, all that, somehow we're still sitting here. LeBron James is in the NBA championship after all of this, team, and I think that's a big thing for top players. Is the West? Yeah, the Warriors are a team, but I mean, Rockets look like they could.
Rockets look good. Rockets look good all year.
I think you just avoid LeBron James at this point still. And I think LeBron will stay in the Eastern Conference too.
I think Boston will be back next year.
They took them to 7 without their 2 best players.
Yeah.
So.
They'll be back. I think the Raptors, though, did themselves a disservice by firing
the coach.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And he might be coming to Detroit. No, wait, he landed somewhere, didn't he? Because the Pistons got rid of Van Gundy, and so now they're looking for their front office guy and their coach. And they were talking about, why can't I think of this dude's name?
Casey.
Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne Casey, that's it.
Okay, so we're running up against the clock here, but I want to get one more subject in, and that's the World Cup. The World Cup is starting in a couple weeks, and USA is not in it. And the games are all on at 3-5 in the morning.
Super early in the morning, yeah.
Is anybody watching this in America?
Ooh, me? No.
In America.
Do they still even make it 3 o'clock in the morning?
Isn't that when you go to bed?
Yeah, like 2:58, and then I just thought it'd reset to 8 a.m. There's stuff in between. Short answer is no.
I love the World Cup because I remember when I was at Western and Bellingham going to games at 4 in the afternoon or maybe 2 on a weekend, and there's people with drums. There's people with the scarves. I didn't even know this
it's a
existed for
thing.
the U.S. and against Belgium and those kind of games. It was awesome to watch. I think the trifecta of like being in Russia and then the U.S. not being in it, and then all the games being super early in the AM, where you can't really go out to a bar and go enjoy them. It's going to be a tough one in the U.S. I don't see it being very viewed.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might have games around noonish, and that might be
That's
doable.
even still tough.
But that's
Yeah.
that's on your lunch break, and you can't really get a full game in
Yeah.
on your hour-long lunch break.
And on the weekend, it's like they're going to be at 8 in the morning, 5 in the morning, maybe catch the second
I'm
half. But
sleeping,
you have to
man.
commit to
There
it.
is
for sure.
zero
I'm
way
sleeping,
I'm
and
watching this.
and I'm gonna be-
And there's no U.S. team?
There's no U.S. team.
Get out of here. No.
I'm
That's a no. That's a hard pass for me.
A couple other factors I want to throw in there: the complete corruption, where Qatar, the country of Qatar,
Yep. And then
got
there's
a World
that.
Cup, and
then
they're using slave labor to build these
Some of the
stupid arenas.
African referees just got caught
Yeah,
accepting
100
bribes.
African referees.
Wow.
I forget what the name of the federation in Africa is, but we're caught taking bribes. And the main one that's been in all the newspapers, all the websites, was supposed to ref in the World Cup.
Yeah, no, I know.
There you go. So,
There's some
yeah.
creepy-
But FIFA's just been kind of, not a regime, but they've just been crooked.
yeah.
It's one big racket from top to bottom.
They made a movie, Blatter, the head of it made a movie about his life.
Speaking of Blatter, these beers are getting me in line. So
we got to run. That's Eric Martin. This is Nathan Savage. I'm Abraham Deweese. Thank you for joining us on Seattle Sports Union Happy Hour. Check us out on our website. That's seattlesportsunion.com as well. Check us out on Twitter at Seattle Sports U. Check us out next week. Leave comments below and subscribe. Have a good day, guys.
Go Mariners.